This central section of the Gospel of Mark, which we've been making our way through these past couple of weeks, months, is known as the discipleship section, and today it comes to a close. In this section, we learned about losing our lives for the sake of the gospel, what makes for greatness, being in right relationship with the other, receiving the realm of God like a child, and what to do with our riches. Where then does that place us? James and John, believing in the way the world is structured and how it operates here on earth, make a request.
Scripture lesson today is Mark 10:35 through 45. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to him and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." And he said to them, "What is it you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Appoint us to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your glory." But Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized in the baptism that I am baptized with?" They replied, "We are able." Then Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink, and the baptism which I am baptized with, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to appoint, but it is for those whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they began to be angry with James and John. So Jesus called them and said to them, "You know that among the Gentiles, those whom they recognize as their rulers lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. But it is not so among you. Instead, whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave of all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many." This is the word of the Lord.
Who do you serve? Who do you serve? The children's author E.B. White of Charlotte's Web fame wrote, "If the world were merely seductive, that would be easy. If the world were merely challenging, that would be no problem. But I arise in the morning torn between a desire to improve or save the world and a desire to enjoy or savor the world. This makes it hard to plan the day," he writes. Torn between a desire to save the world and a desire to savor the world. Where in the midst of White's duality of saving or savoring does the question, "Who do you serve?" fall? Or more importantly, where does the answer to that question, "Who do you serve?" fall? Is our service for the benefit of ourselves or for others? Who do you serve? We just heard how James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to Jesus and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." Excuse me? Who is the Messiah here? And who should be asking whom about whatever? Our scripture reading today follows immediately after what is known as the third passion prediction of Jesus in the Gospel of Mark. We've heard the previous 2 predictions the last few Sundays we have gathered. After the first prediction, Peter rebukes Jesus and says, "No way." After the second prediction, the disciples take to arguing with one another on the way about who is the greatest. And today we have their reaction to the third prediction. "Teacher, we want you to do whatever we ask of you." Jesus perhaps sighs at the obtuseness of the followers which he has chosen. Maybe Jesus even got to thinking, should I start all over and pick 12 different followers? Because this third time's the charm just isn't happening. Who do you serve? Well, seeking to be of service to his, what other adjectives work for describing the disciples? Blockish, simple, witless, half-baked, half-witted, doltish sounds good. And seeking to be of service, Jesus said to them, "What is it you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Appoint us to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left hand, in your glory." What? Three times, Jesus has shared with them what this Messiah thing is all about, what this human life thing is all about. Suffering, crucifixion, resurrection. And James and John are calling out, "Shotgun." Are you familiar with that game? My kids used to cry out "shotgun" whenever the other parent was not going to be sitting up front in the passenger seat of the car. The first child to say "shotgun" won the prize for that trip and got to sit up front. I found the game to be tedious at best because Corinne and Sydney, the two older ones, always cried out "shotgun" at the same time, so I then had to play referee. Balin was too young to know what was even going on. No sooner did I suggest on a Saturday morning that we go get donuts when Corinne or Sydney was shouting, "Shotgun, shotgun." Who do you serve? I want the front seats. The disciples aren't even close to thinking about service. They just want the front seat for the view and the privilege of sitting next to Jesus on the ride. But Jesus was not talking about going to get donuts. Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. This is not a donut run. In fact, there are no Dunkin' Donut shops in Jerusalem. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink or be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" In other words, did you hear the part about the suffering? No, James and John are all caught up with the glory thing. Let's just skip the suffering and crucifixion part and go straight to glory and take a seat there, one at your right hand and one at your left hand. Still immersed in delusions of grandeur, James and John reply, "Oh, we are able." Okay. Then Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink. And with the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized." James will be beheaded and killed a few years later by Herod Agrippa. John, on the other hand, will live to a ripe old age and watch as countless others are killed before him. Okay, but to sit at my right hand or my left hand is not mine to appoint, but it is for those for whom it is prepared, says Jesus. Wait a minute, Jesus. How is it that if you are in control and are this Messiah, then don't you have the power to appoint and prepare spots for your best buddies? You called us first, remember? In the men's work that I've done since the early 1990s, we have reserved a special phrase for men whose actions or statements place themselves in the center of it all or above it all. Oh, special boy. Look at how much money I make. Oh, special boy. Look how I came out on top. Oh, special boy. It's snarky, I know, but it's effective at bringing a man down a notch or two into the reality of which he may not be aware. We say it with a smile, and we really mean it. And oh, how we all like to be special. And we are, in the eyes of God. Philip Gulley writes, "This God understands our human need to feel special but doesn't want that need to come at the expense of others. To be more special than other special people is, well, special boy today. When the 10 heard this, they began to be angry with James and John. Oh, more special boys. How dare you, James and John, pull a fast one and end around, seeking to be promoted and bestowed with honors and glory, with rightness and with leftness, above we other 10 followers of Jesus. If 2 can play at that game, then, 10 more can too. If Jesus can serve 1 at each of his hands, then Jesus can serve the rest of us who have also followed him. Who do you serve? So Jesus called them and said to them, you know that among the Gentiles, those who they recognize as their rulers lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. My, how we know this. Wealth, power, and prestige win the day in our way of being today. In our election season advertising, has anybody seen a political ad illuminating how a particular candidate will be of service to everyone else in the electorate? Is cutting taxes and running them out of town true service? Perhaps service to an easier way of comfort in life, but true servant leadership? Imagine candidates at a debate trying to outweigh each other in describing their service to others in true Christ-like fashion. Who do you serve? Let me give you again, says Jesus, another vision of service. But it is not so among you. Instead, whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you must be a slave to all. Not just a servant, but a slave? Slaves, Jesus, have no honor in our life in the Roman Empire. Servant, maybe we can get behind. There are those who truly serve others in our culture, and we appreciate what they do. But slaves? Whoa, that is not much to appreciate there, Jesus. Who do you serve? Jesus provides an answer. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus doesn't just serve the 2 asking to be at his right hand and his left hand. Jesus' service doesn't just include bringing the other 10 into the special boy fold. No, it's about giving one's life for the sake of many, for the ransom of many. This word ransom is a tricky, tricky word. It could mean, I do this, or I give you this, in order to have something or someone else released. But then, that turns service into a transaction. Do A, get B. Our God is not a transactional God. Our God is a merciful and graceful God, always pouring out love. The end of the story, James and John will flee with the other disciples from the garden. Sure, they said they were able, just not at that moment. And who then is at the right hand and the left hand of Jesus in his glory? Jesus said it was not in his power to appoint those 2 people, and at the same time, those places would be prepared for them. How? Where? Who? In the world that Mark has Jesus turned upside down and around and about, we read at the end of the gospel in Jesus' glory, and with him they crucified 2 bandits, one at his right and one at his left. Who do you serve?